And I don't even know what episode number this is, if I'm being
I think it's 4.
honest. Is it 4?
Yeah, it's 4.
All right. Well, let's welcome back.
It's episode number 4. It's something you and I have been looking forward to talking about.
Looking forward to talking about? Is that what we're doing over there?
Yeah.
Over there? Okay. All right. Making sure. I don't have a laugh track here for you. I have an applause track and a attention one. But, okay. That's what I got for your looking for episode 4. Welcome to episode 4, Modern Cartographers Conversations. And we are talking about our, I would say, favorite tool.
Hands down.
Yeah. Let's talk about digital block walking, what it means and why you need it in your next campaign. And your last campaign. Probably should have had them too.
And start getting ready for the 2024 cycle.
And if you have elections in 2023.
Get on
all of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. What, Joseph Cameron, is digital block walking?
Having high-level conversations, one-on-one conversations with high-propensity voters in your area about the election that you're discussing.
I like that. Okay, so we'll take a step back. What is block walking to, like, the average?
Well, I think
the average human, right, or the new pat guy.
I think you should take the reins, because the firefighters across this country have been so good at just canvassing neighborhoods.
Canvassing, that's another word for it, right? Yeah. So like door to door, old school, knock on the door, hand them a pamphlets, look them in the eye. My name is Braden. I'm a local firefighter. I need your vote for Bob. Bob stands for public safety. We're going door to door asking everybody in your community to do that. We count on you to vote for Bob.
This is different than the guy at the intersection with the boot, right?
This is different than the guy with the boot. Yeah, the guy with the boot is for something else.
Got it. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So I think that really is very effective, right? Door to door is in classic politics, the old maps. It is the backbone of a successful campaign. No successful campaign exists without a good field campaign or a field manager or field program. I've heard that said before. You got to go talk to them. We hear stories about candidates who walked every door in their city. I talked to
I knocked on
every single one. 30.
And my follow-up conversation was, what did they say?
Or were they home?
Or what did you say?
Yeah, what did you say too? That's the other thing. But canvassing, door-to-door block walking has been a really great way because you never get a better opportunity to hear what a voter has to say than looking at them face-to-face.
Yep.
We know that robocalling doesn't work because everybody hates recorded messages on their phone. And somewhere in between there is phone banking, right? Where you pick up the phone and you sit in a room with 200 of your best friends and you hear everyone's overlapping conversation, picking up and hanging up and picking up and hanging up and calling all day long. Old, labor-intensive, very expensive.
And I think for years, overall elephant in the room with public safety association unions is that, we used to have a lot of members on the fire side and on the police side. So getting 20 to 30 guys and girls to show up on a weekend, show up on a night and walk wasn't difficult. Now you can't get that.
Yeah.
You can't.
And that's 20 or 30 out of like 1,000, 1,500 member association, right?
And across this country, I think being on the executive board, a president, vice president, or even on the PAC board has become a lot more difficult. And it's a lot more work. And where this was, hey, you get voted in by your peers and, you don't get any, you're not paid for this as a volunteer position. You're put into full-time, full leave situations when you're one, trying to work, do your actual 9-to-5 job as a public safety professional. 2, you have your family at home. 3, you have other things going on in your personal life. And then you got to do this job too. Oh no, by the way, I need you to go block walk on Saturday and Sunday and go canvass our neighborhood.
Yeah.
People just don't have time for that.
They don't. And right now, you do get 30. Let's use 40. 40 is way easier math for my brain. Let's say you get 40 people to show up. Awesome. How many hours are they going to give you? 2 on a good day, right? Like, get here at 9, drink coffee, hang out till 9:30, slow roll your way over to where you should be going around 10-ish. Go for 45 minutes, take a break, maybe go for another 45 minutes, maybe an hour, stretch it to lunch. Best case scenario, we're getting an hour and a half or 2 hours of good, solid block walking. And if you think about how long it takes to walk to a door, knock on the door, wait a minute for them to get there, they're probably not home. Knock again, just to make sure. Wait another minute, leave, walk to the next door. And if you're hitting every door in a neighborhood, cool. But if you're hitting only the doors of qualified registered voters,
that's the other thing is if you're hitting every door, cool. Should you be?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
Because there's probably a good portion of those people who don't vote and really don't care about your message.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it correctly,
you're going from door to door, getting in a car, driving,
or you're driving a block. Well,
yeah.
Before you know it, you've gone to 3 houses and you're 5 streets down because nobody votes on those.
Right. And you've blown an hour, at least, right? Like the best case scenario is you're going to hit between 5 to 10 doors an hour. And 10 is hauling ass.
And then you stop at that one house.
Yeah.
With the person who wants to talk to you.
For 30 minutes.
For 30 minutes.
Right. And that's what, like a good day of block walking is, oh man, I talked to 3 people today. We talked for 15 minutes.
Which is great.
Which is great. It's fantastic, right? Except for the fact that your army is only like 15 or 20 people, and we're normally competing in elections. We're trying to win an electorate of somewhere between, I don't know, like 50 to 100,000, right? And getting them to the polls to go vote and engage in our issues. And even if you want to reach 1,000 people, you take 1,000 people on a good day and you divide that by 10, which is the most optimum time. That's 100 hours, 100 labor hours of trying to accomplish this. And, the old adage in politics is the number one resource that you can't ever buy anymore of is time.
It's time.
And we run out. So digital block walking is a way, I think, where we've leveraged new technologies. We've leveraged a back-end system that is proprietary to the modern cartographers. And we've leveraged a methodology of sending more than a text message, right? Like a text message, when you think of text messages like an SMS, 160 characters, but like we're literally talking about taking what people think of as a basic text message, which we've all gotten, which we all hate, those horrible political 2 or 3 sentence text messages. And we're talking about elevating those. And in our system, kind of as a policy, we don't send text messages. I think last year we sent a total of 0 SMS basic text messages. Only had words in them. Didn't happen. At a minimum, we're delivering multimedia messages with a picture, preferably an animated GIF or GIF, depending on what side of the spectrum you're on there. And we're delivering a message that includes in what I believe is the difference between text messaging, multimedia messaging, and digital block walking, which is that we include a who, a what, and a question. Not necessarily a call to action, but a question. Something that leads the person on the other end of the phone to believe and to be fulfilled in their belief that we've got somebody on this side that they're talking to. And that is knocking on the door, saying hello, and having a conversation with someone that goes back and forth. It is 2 ways. It is block walking, only it's done digitally. It's done with tens of thousands of digital doors knocked at one time and an exponential army of representatives block walking on your behalf, on message, on script, on the issues, to talk about why this campaign should matter.
Yeah, and I think, we're able to take those conversations, high-level conversations that we're having with these voters and put them into different piles, like we've talked about before, right? We have the people that write. There's a difference between
why,
and
like the letter Y, obviously, right? Like not like WHY.
And difference between the letter Y and fuck yeah. The fuck yeah guy is the guy that I really want to follow up with and say, hey, thanks. Thanks for
fuck yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's a response back. No, I'm just kidding. But you say that, and then you say, hey, can you, share this with everybody in your Rolodex?
Right.
And that's where you talk about.
What's a Rolodex? We've got some, people who are watching who aren't old like you, who might not know what a Rolodex is.
Your whole phone book in your phone, in your cell phone, everybody that you know that lives, breathes, works in the community.
Gotcha.
Send it there.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically take that message and forward it to everybody.
Yeah.
So for some reason, we didn't reach somebody that is a high propensity voter. They do get that. I think that just goes, it compiles, you start adding more and more voters. And again, with those high level conversations that we're having with people, there's a lot of questions we've seen in the last 2022 cycle. There's people have questions, right? Want to know why. There are voters out there who have voted for in the last 4 elections that say, just because Braden said vote for Joe doesn't mean I'm going to vote for Joe.
Right.
And they want to know why.
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean by supports public safety? What do you mean? Does this candidate, some of the questions, does this candidate support building a fire station where my neighborhood gets a slower response time for EMS calls? Are we going to add more police officers to the police department? Those are important questions that those people need to have examples.
You're right. They do have questions. We've seen from the data, working these digital doors ourselves even, we've seen from the data that they have questions. And more importantly, we've also seen from the data and analytics that they aren't picking up the phone to call Bob's campaign or picking up the phone to call the local POA, PBA, FOP office and say, so tell me how you guys are thinking about, this election. Because they're busy. They're not going to go and reach out and find us to get our opinion and understand our opinion. But if they receive information from us and we open the door to that conversation, they're far more likely to engage. And when you engage with somebody and you talk to them and you get that verbal, digitally verbal commitment, that's a voter. That's a vote. That's somebody who is invested in coming up with an emotional decision and attachment to our issue and to our vote and to our candidate.
And you're speaking to a group of people in the middle that every candidate, campaign, anybody who's in this arena, those are the people that, at the end of the day, those are the people that we're trying to reach. The people in the middle who have questions, who are undecided voters.
And the coolest thing about our system, and I think what separates digital block walking, the 3 reasons why digital block walking is the most important tool for your next campaign with the modern cartographers is that, one, and you can expand on this in a second, is that it's transparent information, conversations, and engagement and data that's available to you almost in real time. 2, we are utilizing the most current cutting-edge technology, delivering everything from like a simple animated image to a full-blown high-definition movie commercial in your phone without downloading, without a link. I mean, obviously it's download because it's sent to your phone, but there's no action taken other than pressing play. That is just leap years ahead of what most people are thinking about when they think about political messaging. And then I think third, and this is what really separates a digital block walk from advertising, is that we have ourselves, we have staff, and we have a team that we put together for elections that actually mans the phones for your organization. We take a lot of pride in making sure that we represent the message, the voice, and the tone of the organization, and that we personally, manually respond and engage in conversation with everybody. I think those 3 things, really just change the narrative for what you can do and how you can take your PAC and force multiply your message in ways that provide the scale you need to be successful with the time and resources that we actually have today.
Yeah, I think you hit on a lot of things. One, I think a lot of our messaging, we put video in there, which I think is crucial. And we've seen it on several campaigns. 2022, we changed up the videos. We've hit them on every single medium. And when you get the standard text message that everybody hates, right? It's just a big block of text.
What happens when you get a standard text message?
But when you get that message and right above it is that GIF, right? Or is that video, that powerful video that someone can play and get that 15, 30-second clip, they don't really even necessarily have to read the rest of the text. They know where you are. And again, we get that response. And if we don't get a response, we'll talk to them again. And I think, one of the biggest points that you just hit on for our listeners is transparency.
Transparency?
Right?
What's that?
What is going on in your campaign? When you send out mailers, when you do all this, like where are the analytics? Where are the reports back? And again, we give all of our clients.
You mean like the bill?
Yeah, everything. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know what we're doing.
Right.
We need to be held accountable, right? We need to make sure that we're doing the best job. Again, we're going into cities, communities, counties that you are familiar with. We could be. And again, but on that end, ours is a tone of conversations, correct? What is on the front end? And again, when you can log into our system, look at everything we're doing, all the messages that have gone out, all the messages that have gone in, we can give you guys full access that you could be the ones who respond, or we can have myself, you, or our staff respond. And we've done that from candidate campaigns all the way down to IEs.
Yeah. I think had a great campaign a few months ago where we did a bunch of digital block walking. And we started off with an audience that we thought was good. We thought it was good. The data said it was good. It should have been a good audience. It was a terrible audience, okay? These people did not care. They hated our guy, and they were very clear about it. And it was super interesting because we made this first pass. And even though this same audience had supported our issues twice over, 60, 70% in previous elections, we knew who voted previously. We knew that in those elections, we won 60, 70%. So we thought this audience should be with us 50, 60%, hopefully, on this issue, 30%, 40%. We were getting hammered. But we knew, and we knew why. We were hearing very clearly, I don't like your guy because of this. I think you're cool, but fuck him. And even though you want me to vote for him, not happening. This is why. And having that information, that digital block walk, and that conversation at the digital door, and being able to hear back that, yeah, that's a pretty video, but I'm not interested in your candidate, allowed us to retool our audience and say, okay, these people suck. I mean, they're fine people. We'll use them in another election. We're not going to use them today. And we expanded our audience to a new group of kind of untargeted, out of the universe set. They were way more interested in what we had to say, way more positive. And by just changing our audience, we were able to figure that out. We would have never known that with 4 points of TV, radio ads, and 4 mail pieces dropping in a week. Would have never had the feedback that a previous voter bloc who voted in the right elections, who were registered the right way, who voted the right way in previous elections, that they weren't with us on this one.
One campaign that comes to my mind is, we ran somebody up against a candidate who I think was on the ballot 6 times.
Let's call him name versus no name.
Yeah.
Right?
It was literally our candidate had no name recognition. Yeah. And the other candidate had been on the ballot 6 times.
He may have had one of the most boring, simple names. Versus somebody who was out there, right? Like publicly available, publicly well known, maybe not necessarily well liked, but certainly had notoriety in the community.
Yep. And had run, I think it was 6 times. And our biggest concern was that candidate was going to pull a lot of Democratic votes.
Yep.
We knew that we had the Republicans pretty much on point with our messaging, where we're coming from, law enforcement, public safety. The independents in that area tend to swing with the Republicans, so we felt kind of comfortable there. But our major concern was the Democrats, and were we able to get them to come over to our side and get them to move off of someone that they have historically voted for, since that candidate has been on the ballot the last 6 times. That was our biggest concern. So going into it, we obviously created different messaging for different segments of the voting population.
You say obviously. I want to stop you on obviously, because I think that it's really important to talk about the size of this election too. We had total votes at the end of the day of 1,500, right? Yeah, I think it was like under 1,600 people voted in this election. We had a total electorate, like registered voters, only like 5,000 or 6,000. We had a working universe of previously had voted in general elections in presidential years of only 3,400 or so. And we had a working guesstimation of turnout to be right around that 1,500 kind of a number range. So when we say, oh, obviously we had a different message for each, political audience, I think if you were running a traditional media mail program, you wouldn't. you can't afford to run a subset of 300 mailers for these guys and 200 mailers for this person and 400 mailers over here. You got to run one because you're only doing a total quantity of 2,000.
Right.
So, we subsetted out the digital block walking because at some doors we digitally went there wearing a law enforcement, sheriff, public safety shirt. At some digital doors, we showed up wearing a firefighters with a firefighter's endorsement shirt. At some doors, we were showing up with the IBEW or the Carpenters Union shirt. At other doors, we just showed up shirtless. It was a party. We were able to break that down, and there was, almost no true cost other than a little graphic design time and a little bit of staff time and rewriting, proudly endorsed by the firefighters versus proudly endorsed by the Carpenters Union. Can't do that in traditional.
Yeah, and luckily for us, it's a client who believes in what we're doing.
Right.
And, there's not a lot of clients out there that will allow you to do that type of things. You need to put in, hey, for this candidate, for this segment of the population, we're going to need to go with the carpenters. For this segment of the population, we need to lean on the union ties more than the public safety ties. And I think we've built that relationship and we've done really well. And the greatest thing about this campaign was I was at the election night party, and I could see, in the room, everyone was concerned, right? This is a big election. Not to mention this was like a swing vote to keep public safety services in this area. And as I'm looking around the room, everybody's concerned, and I was concerned about one thing going to this campaign, the Democratic vote. And I could tell you, after continuously block walking this city, you could see that we were starting to lock up the Democratic votes. The Republicans and the independents had them locked up. The ones we were concerned about were the Democrats. And I could see as we kept going, we kept locking up votes. Voted for you. All of my household voted for you. Yeah. Keep going. I was probably the only comfortable person in that room saying, it's polling to a point. I mean, we're literally talking to people. You're counting, especially when you're talking about 1,500 votes.
Yeah.
You're counting votes.
Counting doors.
You're counting votes at that point. And I think that's important and you bring up a good point. When you have a small association of 26, 30, 50 guys, you can't afford a mail program, or you can't afford these big campaigns where you're going to be able to target these people with these different tools. And I think it's important. And again, we won that election, the landslide, and we got that Democratic vote.
Yeah. No, I think it's digital block walking is us using a tool in a new way, and it's providing the whole service to make that work. Because not only does it allow larger scale reach with a less expensive investiture, because it is so much less expensive than newspaper ads or radio ads or TV ads or mail programs. It's also allows an association of any size really to not have to try to harness 40 people to show up on a Saturday to go out and walk a total of 10 doors per person on a good day. And honestly, 40 people, you go out in pairs, you only have 20 people actually door knocking, right? 20 sets. 20 sets, you hit 10 doors over 2 hours, you get 200 doors. And you had to work your butt off and provide coffee and donuts and lunch and T-shirts and maps and equipment. I mean, it's this whole thing. Whereas we're able to staff up and expand our cartographers' reach so that way our clients can order, hey, I've got 3,000 likely voters. We're like, sweet, we're going to hammer the 3,000 and we're going to staff for 8 hours on Saturday every single response. We'll stay at 4 hours on Sunday, and we'll staff 4 more hours on Monday. And we'll mop up the entire conversation. And then we'll report back how many conversations we had, how many were positive, how many were negative, how many were opt-outs, and what people are saying. And you kind of take a look at that data and make decisions on what we need to do next.
And I think the most important part to look at from a e-board PAC member's perspective is that you're able to control the message.
Yeah.
What's going out. And if you're lucky enough to have an association where you can get 40, 50, 60 members to show up and go door to door, when they get asked a tough question, are you confident that they're going to give the right answer? When they're asked a very tough question, who and where is the control there outside of, I don't know.
Right.
And it's nothing, I'm not talking bad about the member. They're giving up their time to do it, but you're putting them in a tough position.
Yeah.
And there's
Because
times,
most of our members are not trained political communicators.
and where, there's several times where we get some questions that come across and we're on the phone with the president or the PAC director immediately.
Yeah.
Hey, got this question. What do you think? And we're responding like that.
Right.
And I think it's important. We don't let these messages sit here for 2 days and then decide to get back to them. That's where you talk about we're staffing on a Saturday for 8 hours a day having this. Because it's not just we don't just go with thank you for your vote.
Right.
We're trying to extract more conversation. Why are you voting for Braden? What made you? I know you said you'll do anything for public safety. Okay. Did you contact your neighbor? Is your wife voting? No, I'm looking at the voter file right now, and there's 5 people that voted in your house. Is everybody voting for Braden?
Yep.
I think those are the type of things that we're doing. And again, I'll hit on transparency. It's something I think you and I are building this organization on transparency, because I still, might be at my detriment at some point, operate this organization like it's still I'm the president of a union. You have to look out for your membership money. And if you're able to log in and look at what we're doing, it's one thing for Braden and Joe to say everything's going well. We're killing it with the Democrats, like we're doing really well. Log in, check it, look for yourself.
Yeah.
Have those conversations. Learn how our tools work, because we want you to go talk to your neighbor and tell them, hey, you need to use this for the 2023 cycle. You need to do this for the 2024, because I think we all know that if every single association gets politically involved, it helps us all.
Yeah, absolutely. New technology. We have a brand new consumer side, client side facing web component that will be launching probably at the end of next month. We should have that squared away. Log in and see what communications and conversations we've had. Log in and have conversations for yourself and be completely involved as much as you want, or don't. And, literally we provide a turnkey digital block walking army that will go out, hammer doors, hammer voters, have the conversations, be on message, and then provide accountable reporting back to let you make future decisions. And I think that is so important. I still remember my first campaign that I volunteered on. And I remember watching our field director, who's still a friend of mine, sit at the desk with a barcode scanner and sheets of paper after the field team had gone out for the day. And they came back and she had a stack of papers, and she would be like, scan the voter, scan what the response was. Scan the voter, scan the response. And had to manually input every single one of those sheets of paper. Now the LAN or the van has the mobile van or the minivan on your phone, and so they tap a button. So that's kind of gone away, but it's still this very manual per person process. And with our tools, we've automated a great majority of that. We're having non-bot, non-AI human conversations with people. And we are driving that emotional close to the question of voting. And it is changing the landscape for our clients. It is changing our reach, and we are winning elections with it. Digital block walking has been an incredible, I think, leap forward in the space. I look forward to some of our colleagues getting their shit together and coming and joining our program to be a part of it.
You stole my thunder, man. I was going to say, listen, there are a lot of good firms out there that work across this country, and there's a lot of them. And if you use them, and you're going to continue to use them, which I think, hey, if they're doing a great job for you, keep it. But look at this. Right? Look at adding this to your overall strategy. And if they want to call us, we'll be more than happy to talk to them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the Cartographers Access Program. So for political consultants, political firms who have their own message, they got your own graphic designer, you don't need us doing your messaging. And frankly, you may be in a completely different part of the political spectrum than we are. You may be in a completely different space than we are. Bring your expertise. Bring your ideas. Sign up for Cartographers Access membership and leverage these tools. Leverage the entire system of technology and data that we've built for your candidates, for your campaigns, and win for them at scale. Or if you are an association and you're tired of losing. You're tired of watching, hundreds of thousands of dollars be turned into trash in a 6.5 by 11 inch, approximately two-sided glossy 110-pound cardstock format. You're tired of, just, hearing that you bought 2 points, but not seeing those same points translated into your election results. Reach out for a strategic session with us and look at what you've done, what you wanted, what you got, and what you paid for it. And I think what you paid for it, again, is so important. It's not just union money, it's our members' pocketbooks that fund these programs. And if, as a local president or a PAC chair, you are not accountable for where you're spending your money and making sure you're using the most current, most aggressive, and most cost-efficient system, I think that creates a lot of problems and is something that we can help address and move forward with.
I like it.
What do you think? Digital block walking, hitting doors, doing stuff with videos now, animated GIFs, images. We're not just sending text messages. This is a whole new level of leveraging technology to make sure that we're staying where we need to be, which is in front of the voter and having those deep conversations. And with that,
close it out.
We're just out of here. Same song, just call me when you want, and we'll knock on your door digitally. Cartographers Conversations. See you next time.